Hey everybody, welcome back to Great Lakes D&D. This is Devin the Dungeon Master, here to let you guys know that during the recording of episode number 4, it actually turned into quite a long episode, so for this one we are going to be breaking it into 2 different parts. Hope you guys enjoy.
Hello everybody and welcome back to Great Lakes D&D. We've got the crew back together for episode 4. We've got Devin and Joel, myself at the table. We've got Josh and Mason on a Discord call. And we're going to go ahead and get into it. So I'm going to pass it over to Devin.
Let's get into it. Now, without further ado, welcome back to Delphia, boys. I'll go around and we'll do introductions. Obviously, I am Devin, your Dungeon Master, and I am here tonight at the table with...
I'm Joel, I play Chopper.
This is Shaggy and I play Ace.
And over the Discord call, we have...
Josh is Salix. Mason is Luffy.
And without another second to waste, let's jump into this episode with a quick recap. Now, the last episode, you guys were starting off with Ace plummeting down into this chasm that you guys found, essentially, in this canyon/desert. He started to plummet down into this chasm and basically ended up falling all the way down to the bottom of it, in which he fell into a giant pool of water. At the bottom of this pool, or this chasm, essentially, he found himself emerged down in water, and once he came back up, he realized that there were spider pockets all along the walls of this giant chasm. At which point, the rest of our heroes, Salix, Luffy, and Chomper, tried to make a plan to try and get him out of there, but at which point, they figured out that they could descend their rope down into the chasm to get Ace out of there, and when they did this, a spider took notice and began chewing on the rope. As this happened, Luffy made quick action and decided to jump down into the chasm to try and assist Ace. Doing this, he tried to attack one of the spiders and missed with a lightning javelin that got stuck into a spider pocket. And during this time, Chopper and Salix were back on the surface and still trying to make a quick plan of what to do, basically. During this small little period of when they were trying to make a plan, Ace came up with the brilliant idea of attaching a grenade onto a boomerang and throwing it up into the air to try and basically take out a bunch of spiders with one giant swoop. At which point, he failed a roll, kind of, and the grenade managed to bump along a rock along the rock face of this chasm and started falling back down towards the water. At which point it detonated before it reached the water and blew apart basically a big section of this chasm wall. At which point spiders began to fall into the water with Luffy and Ace. At this point, Luffy takes a closer look and kind of takes in his surroundings as they're both underneath the water, prepared for the blast that had come from the grenade. And he notices that there is mechanical spiders that are swimming around in the water. At this point, he radios this up to Salix and Chopper, both of which decide to jump down in the water and further assist their team, expecting to jump into a fight. But a familiar kind of character shows up and assists all of our heroes out of this pool of water, and his name is Samson Steelhead. He pulls everybody out of the water, and after which leads them out of this little cavern/chasm and shuts it off completely so the spiders cannot follow them and basically kill all of them. At this point, Salix and him share a small conversation about how Salix was familiar with his grandfather, Slade, and how they had both worked in the Horde. This brings a little bit of confusion to Samson, as the age difference is too great, and he kind of accuses Salix of lying to him about who he is, at which point Salix explains that they were on the spaceship that left Ocaria, and that is how his aging has been slowed. After a short little conversation after that, they end up making their way into a small settlement through a cave, basically, and set in the inside of this mountain, and this place is called Titanforge. At which point, Samson tells the crew that he has been staying here for quite some time. Offering everybody a nice tall drink of ale, they all make their way into the Brass Dragon Tavern, and at this point, they end up having another conversation, which leads to Luffy pulling out a small ball of energy that they figured out was used to power the drilling drone in the exploration pod. This small ball of energy, as Samson tells the crew, is what the clockworkers are harvesting and what they ended up harvesting from Ocaria, which led to Ocaria's demise as a whole entire planet. At this point, towards the end of the conversation, a hard drive is brought up, and the crew asks Samson if there's any way that they can work with this hard drive to try and see what's on it. Samson tells the crew that he does know a way, and he basically leads them out of the Brass Dragon Tavern, and that is where we are at right now. Now, all of you guys emerge from the Brass Dragon Tavern. You guys see a small settlement that's bustling. There's, like I said previously in episode 3, there's people everywhere. I mean, this is a full-fledged operating settlement of people. There is also, as I said before, 3 guard watchtowers with people stationed up on top of these towers, basically keeping overwatch of the whole entire settlement and just kind of making sure there's no foul play going on. As you guys emerge out of this Brass Dragon Tavern, you see Samson take a nervous look around, and he kind of turns back to you guys as a group and says, okay, I'm going to need you guys to do me a favor. Just kind of keep your heads down and don't really talk to anybody, okay? I'll explain everything later. But just follow me. If anybody talks to you guys, be polite, be respectful, nod your head or whatever. Don't answer any questions, though. Just follow me, okay?
Sounds good, man.
Got it. When will you tell us why we're doing this?
I'll tell you once we get to the temple. So, there I'll explain everything. There we can unlock your guys' hard drive, but just work with me here. Even though I've stayed here for quite a while, there's people here that probably aren't aligned with you guys, so... Okay?
Sounds good, man. We'll keep our head down.
Roger that.
At this point, Samson takes one more nervous look around, flips his hood up on top of his head, and begins leading you guys through town. You guys weave in and out of people, basically just kind of keeping your heads down as he told you. You see as you guys walk by, there's a couple merchants. Hey, would you like to buy some of my products? And you guys completely don't even say nothing. You guys just keep on walking. And as you guys get a little bit closer, you guys pass by the town hall, which is located in the center of this big settlement. As you guys continue to walk through, you guys can see there is what looks to be like a dwarf stationed out in a chair, and he has an eye patch over one eye. And as you guys walk by as a group, this dwarf kind of stands up and says, "Samson, my boy, how are we doing today?" And Samson kind of pulls his head up a little bit, walks up and says, "Oh, I'm doing just fine, Carter. I'm just another day in Titanforge." "Oh, splendid. I'm good to hear. Is everybody happy?" As he says this, all of you guys are probably walking with Samson, so all of you guys can probably roll a perception check.
Hold on, I gotta check.
7.
Okay.
Oh, I got a 4.
What's my perception? -2, +2, so 7.
Okay.
I have a +2, so that was a 13.
So Ace has a 13. You definitely failed it, Jumper.
I feel a lot of things.
Salix failed it as well. So
It'll be a whopping 19.
there we go. So with a 14 and a 19, as Samson has this conversation with what you guys know this dwarf's name to be is Carter, you guys can see as Carter asks him, "Is everybody happy today?" You guys notice Samson kind of shoot like a nervous look back at you guys. And for some reason, Chopper, like, seeing this kind of, like, gets a little nervous and just kind of decides to, like, kick his feet against the ground and, like, start looking at something else. And Salix kind of decides to, like, turn around just a little bit and start, like, wiping dirt and stuff off of his suit. Ace and Luffy, though, you guys pay attention to the facial features that is on Samson's face, and you guys see he's nervous at the fact that Carter just asked this. And Carter, you guys notice, even though he's got one eye patch, his eyes are looking directly at you guys. Now, Samson just kind of, as I said, shoots a nervous look, turns back around and says, "Yeah, everything's peaches and cream, Carter," as I always say. So Carter takes a moment and continues to analyze you guys, and then finally just nods his head and says, "Alrighty, sounds good to me. I'll see you guys at some point again in Titanforge, so take care." And you guys continue to walk. Now, as you guys finally make your way to the temple, Samson turns around to you guys and says, "Alright, we're here. Just follow my lead, and I'll get you guys into the temple, but we have to try and kind of do this secretly, so."
Okay. Either way.
He walks up into the temple, and you guys can see it. There's two townspeople that are kind of there worshiping. Outside of the temple, there is two gigantic statues. One is of a woman that has wings and a staff, and the other is of an elderly man that has long hair, a beard, a robe on, and he's clutching what appears to be like, it's this cylinder that has two spindles on each side, and the spindles are hollowed out, and they have what looks to be like almost like floating particles in the spindles on the statue. This kind of piques you guys' interest, but as he said, follow his lead, so you guys kind of, turn back around. You guys walk into the main little house that's at the edge of this temple, and as you guys do this, you guys find yourselves face to face with two statues of two dragons. Samson turns around and says, "Alright, is everyone back at the temple? They're worshiping, right? They're not paying any attention to us?"
They don't seem to be.
As he asks you guys this, he turns back around. All of a sudden, these two statues come to life.
Samson, my boy, how are we doing?
I'm doing just fine. I'm just looking to get underneath of the temple, if that's okay. And as he says this, the other dragon kind of says,
No, there's no way. No. We can't let you guys in today. There's people that are worshiping in the temple. It's too risky.
"No, I really need to get the temple. So I really need to get the temple. If that's cool with you guys." He turns to the one dragon that's like asking him how his day is, and he says, "Roscoe, it'd be really cool if you could just get me into the temple." Roscoe turns to the other dragon.
Rocky, I think we need to let you guys in the temple.
And Rocky kind of goes,
No, I am not gonna do it, Roscoe. There's no way. If we get them in the temple and there's people in the temple, then we are completely going.
And Roscoe kind of like cuts him off and says,
Rocky, just listen to me, okay?
And you guys are standing there, not knowing what the hell's going on, as these two dragons are just bickering back and forth. And finally, Samson just kind of claps his hands together and says, "Alright, just listen. I know what the fucking rules are. Just let me in the goddamn fucking temple, okay?" And both of these dragons kind of like shoot a look at each other and then shoot a look back at Samson. And they're like, the one dragon, Rocky, is clearly pissed. But he looks at all of you guys and then looks back at Samson, and Samson kind of says, look, I really need this. So these guys could be in danger if they stay up here. Just get me in the temple, all right? I'll make it worth your while, Rocky. I'm sorry. And Rocky says,
All right.
So as he does this, both of the dragons on their small little stone perches both turn opposite directions, so they're facing the walls, and as they do this, it almost sounds like a lever is engaged, and all of a sudden the floor that is between these dragons begins to descend into a staircase. Now, as this happens, Samson turns to you guys and says, alright, follow me. And you guys follow him down into this stairway that's leading you guys underneath of the settlement, essentially. You guys walk down these stairs, and as you do this, you guys get pretty much to the bottom, and the stairs begin to rise back up. And just before they do, through the crumbling and scraping of rock, you can see Rocky's head kind of comes out in the staircase and says,
I'm gonna hold you to that, Samson. You better make it worth my...
And then he's gone because the stairs close. Up above, you guys can hear the muffled sound of Rocky saying,
Roscoe, we really shouldn't have done that.
and Ross was like,
Just don't worry about it, okay? If Samson asks us to get him in the temple, we get him in the temple, man. We know what the deal is. I know what the deal is. I also know what the rules are.
and Samson just says, just don't mind them. They're two dragons that have been doing this for us for a long time. You guys follow him through what appears to be like a hallway. Now, on the walls of this hallway, there are what appear to be like mechanical torches that are lighting it, and the arcane flame that is coming off of them is blue. It's like an electric blue. So this whole entire hallway basically has like this glow of electric blue light, and at the very end of it, there is a big metallic door. At which point, you guys walk down this hallway, and once Samson reaches the door, hits the door 3 times with 3 sturdy thuds, waits for a moment, and then hits it 2 more times. At which point behind the door, you guys can hear the sounds of locks disengaging. And the door opens. As this door opens, it appears to be that nobody opened it. It appears to be that this door is magically operated. You guys walk in, and as you guys walk in, what you guys see at this point appears to be almost like a dining room. It has like a giant table in this room. There are the same torches lighting it up. There's a bookcase that's over in one corner. There's a fireplace that's working in the other corner. You guys don't see like a chimney or anything going up from it. You guys literally just see this cutout in the wall that has the same kind of arcane flame in the chimney. You guys can also see that there is what appears to be like an archway just past the table straight ahead. And past that, it looks like a little workshop.
Where are we? Exactly.
Yeah, what's going on down here?
The reason why I brought you guys down here is because the people that are up in the town, some of those people are clockworkers. There's, from what we know and from who I've talked to, they're everywhere, every single city, every single town. Clockworkers have been designated and moved into towns. I don't know why. I don't know if it's to keep watch over the people. I don't know what's going on. But
How do you know which people are clockworkers?
Yeah, how can we tell them apart?
so the biggest way that I can tell clockworkers apart from everybody else, like the people on Delphia that are not for the clockworkers, and the people from OCARIA that survived. So basically what happens is clockworkers make routine trips into towns, into cities everywhere. And the reason they do this is because they take notes on the mechanical machines that are working in these societies. They take into account how the people are treating them. They take into account how people are treating them negatively, and because of the machines in their history database, they can also depict who has been treating them negatively. They can also take into account the people that are in these towns that are in lower standards of living, essentially. So people that are in poverty do not last long in towns. And that right there is the biggest way that I can tell clockworkers out from anybody else, is because clockworkers do not like people that are in poverty. They basically go in there, investigate why they're in poverty, and then after the fact, either take them away, or they end up going back and relaying their information to the main clockworker base, at which point clockworkers come in and take them away anyway. Guy up there, that dwarf, the mayor of Titanforge, Carter, he's goddamn clockworker. And if you guys catch him out on the streets, just judging by how he acted when we talked to him, it's not going to be good for you guys. He's going to be asking where the hell you guys came from. Ever since the clockworkers took charge and began controlling the cities more and more, they started looking at population and stuff, making sure that people from outside planets weren't coming in. So if there's people here that came from a planet, even though it's a planet where they've already taken people, they're going to be asking questions. Now this place here, this is home base for people like us. We're the Watch. We're the ones that are trying to pull together a plan to try and save as many people as we can.
How many people do you have with you?
Down here,
Just in general?
in general,
In the Watch?
hundreds. People from
How
OCARIA,
many do the clockworkers have?
thousands. Hundreds of thousands. Because the clockworkers are not only just people that have aligned themselves with their cause, but they're also the machines that they're building.
Well, how can we help?
So, you think if we came across like a half robot, half something else, it could be a clockworker?
You can see Samson takes this into account, thinks it over, and looks at you, Luffy, and says, "What do you mean?"
Well, our little trip advisor was half android. And he's gone now, so it's kind of suspicious that he just left us when it was his duty to protect us.
Yeah,
So,
our guy
I
Jack Ruby.
kinda am having some suspicion towards him now, in that he may be a clockworker.
We did get a little information that he was going to the clockworkers.
I would say that is pretty suspicious.
Yeah, what if we were working for the clockworkers and not knowing about it?
What do you
What
mean?
was their motive?
You guys think that you guys are working for the clockworkers?
This is just my suspicion. Because if our advisor is going to the clockworkers, that we were hired by the clockworkers, pretty much. And because we're saying that the clockworkers use this orb that we're using to take shit from other planets. So
That orb that you guys have, that is what they're taking. That blows my mind.
yeah, so
that
they took it from our planet and then hired us to transport it back to fucking here.
That be?
That's my suspicion.
How rare is this?
that is as rare as it gets. That is the energy that makes planets basically survivable. Any planet that's out there that has the right, basically habitat for life to grow, it has this inside of the planet. So
How much of this?
the planet's whole entire core. Their core, basically, it depends on the size of the planet, but from what we know now is that I'd say what's inside of a planet, half of it is this energy.
So this is a lot of energy.
Yeah, I'm like, what if we took it from our planet and that's why our planet died?
That is pretty much what happened. Ocaria met its demise because the clockworkers reaped Ocaria of all of its energy. You see, what happened with the asteroid when it landed, the asteroid had some kind of effect that prevented the energy from operating. And the energy, what the energy does is makes, like I said, the planet survivable. It makes storms so that they're controlled. They're not just running wild and going through and devastating everything. It makes it so that the soil can grow crops. It makes it so there is certain sections of the planet that is drinkable water. I mean, this energy is basically everything it takes for a planet to become survivable.
It's the life force of a planet.
Yes. So when the Clockworkers went to Ocaria and they started taking this energy, the planet started dying immediately. Because the size of this energy is literally matched up perfectly to the planet. So as soon as somebody starts taking this energy away, negative things happen. Bad shit starts to happen. Crops stop growing. Certain water all of a sudden starts to go bad. Storms end up running wild. The atmosphere starts messing up, and pockets end up coming into the atmosphere, and all of a sudden it's a whole string of problems. Now, as Samson is running with these thoughts, all of a sudden from the back, you guys hear a giant clang, a crash. Samson all of a sudden stops mid-sentence and turns. Franklin? Are you back there? Frank, all of a sudden, from back in this little workshop, you can hear, Samson? Is that you? Yeah, I'm here. I'm here. I'm out here. All of a sudden, you guys see this small, frail man come hobbling out of this little workshop. He's got goggles on his forehead. He's wearing a rubber apron, and he's got gloves that go up to the middle of his forearm, black rubber. His face is covered in soot and dirt, and you can see as he's coming out, he's wiping his eyes with these rubber gloves and saying, "Man, it's just been one hell of a day at work, Samson. Let me tell you, who the fuck are all these people?" Samson says, "Well, Franklin, that's why I brought them down here, because these people..." Franklin cuts him off and says, "Samson, what the fuck did I tell you about bringing people down here, man? We're trying to run a secret operation, and you can't just..." Samson all of a sudden goes, "Franklin, just listen, okay? Listen. These guys they got a story, okay? They're here for a reason." Franklin stands nervously there for a minute and looks at all of you and says, "Who the fuck are you guys?"
I'm Chomper.
I am Luffy.
Mace. We came from OCARIAS Hope.
Yeah.
Franklin hears this and turns to Samson and says, "What the hell is he talking about?" Samson says, "These guys, they're tired. They've been traveling they traveled a long way to get here, and they have been stuck here for quite a while in hibernation sleep, I'm pretty sure. These guys literally just woke up, Franklin. I mean, the last thing that we need to do is..." No, listen to me, Samson, no. We need to ask these people what they're doing down here, especially if you brought them down here to our headquarters. This is a secret operation, as I just said. Samson all of a sudden claps his hands together and says, "Franklin, these guys are on our side, I'm pretty sure. I just got a feeling."
I'm royalty from Ocaria. You can trust me.
Franklin's eyes kind of go wide, hearing Samson say this, and then after Luffy says that, he kind of looks at Luffy, kind of sighs and says, "Well, I guess if these people are from Ocaria, then they probably are aligned with the same mission that we are." So you see, he swallows hard. He looks down at the ground and then kind of looks back at his workshop and then looks back at you guys. Everybody take a seat, okay? He undoes his apron, pulls off his gloves. When he pulls off his gloves, what you guys can see on this Franklin character's hands is they've been burned and scarred pretty badly. He pulls off his apron, and what he's wearing is basically like a button-up shirt. I mean, he's got tattered pants on and everything. He looks dirty from work. And judging by what he does for work, it's also pretty dangerous, obviously, because his hands are all fucked up, all of that. Franklin tosses his shit basically on the ground, but keeps his goggles on his head, and kind of pushes his white hair out of the way, wiping sweat out from underneath of the goggles. Sits down at the table and kind of motions for all of you guys to take a seat. Samson looks at all of you guys and says, "Let's take a seat, everybody." So all of you guys sit around this table with Franklin at the head of the table. Franklin sits back in his chair for a moment, kind of taking all of you guys in. Is there anything you guys would like to drink? Or
Water if you got it.
Yeah, we could all use some waters.
I need a nice tall beer. I'll take a mead.
Franklin chuckles and says, okay. So what you guys see next is Franklin takes his hands and kind of wipes them clean. He's wiping them on his shirt and he's like wiping them on his pants, trying to make sure that there's like nothing on his hands. And all of a sudden he like claps his hands together twice. And all of a sudden, from in the kitchen area, comes floating 2 tall beer mugs, and they sit down in front of Salix and Luffy, and then 2 glasses of water. And after this, basically like a pitcher comes out. One comes out and fills Salix's cup with beer. And after that, it goes back in the kitchen, and another one comes out and fills Luffy's glass with mead. Samson kind of sits back, and Franklin kind of shoots him a look like, is there anything you'd like to drink, Samson? Samson kind of motions with his hand and says, no, I'm good right now, Franklin. Franklin shrugs and says, okay. You guys can see one of the pitchers, the one that has mead in it, stays behind and sits down right in front of Franklin. He takes a hearty drink out of his pitcher, and after which you guys can see the remnants of his drink around his mouth. He leans forward. It's kind of foamy and stuff, and the foam is on his face. He kind of sits forward with the foam on his face and says, okay, why don't you guys kind of tell me what's going on here? If Samson brought you guys down here, there's obviously a reason. I mean, he just doesn't bring people down here. So, what's the story?
And that is where we will be ending part 1 of episode 4. This is Devin, your Dungeon Master, and we are Great Lakes D&D. Make sure to check out part 2 once it comes out. Episode 4 in all entirety had a crazy amount of information, and it actually turned out pretty good breaking it into 2 different parts. So, hope you guys enjoy. Leave a like, please subscribe, and we will see you in the next one.